Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to our Parkway Assembly. My name is John Gibna, the principal of Park, and we are very excited to do our Parkway Assembly with you. Although we would love to do it personally, we're going to do it virtually because, after all, we still are in a pandemic right now. So we want to do this the safest way possible. We are going to go through some of our Parkway information. We're going to go through all kinds of ways you could be successful at Park. It's really important, since we have new 6th and 7th grade students that were not here last year, that we make sure you know all the ins and outs of Park and how to be positive, how to follow the Parkway, and how to have a great experience here at school. So if you have any questions after this is over, you can ask your teachers. They can email us any questions, and we could definitely forward you any answers to your questions. But please sit back and really listen to the presentation and think about how you kind of fit into this and how you can manage your way through Park in a successful way. I'd like to now introduce our guest speakers for you today.
Hi, I'm Kai Montgomery, one of your vice principals at Park Middle School.
Hi, I'm Krista Plumley, a vice principal here at Park Middle School.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Ayala. I work with students whose last names are A through K.
Jamie Leffler, school counselor, working with students last names L through Z.
All right, so we have broken apart this presentation a little bit. I'm going to pull up our slide show for you. And we would like to first start off with our first guest speaker. Our first presenter is Krista Plumley. Ms. Plumley.
Good afternoon. Mr. Gimno, if you would go to the next slide, please. Thank you. All right, we all know that we are in a pandemic still, and that we have some COVID safety protocols that we need to follow. These protocols have been determined by the CDC and the California Department of Public Health. One of those is that we need to be wearing our masks indoors at all times, including hallways, the gymnasium, and any other indoor space. The proper way to wear your mask is to make sure that your mask is covering your nose, it covers your mouth, and it goes under your chin. So it needs to look like this. Okay. Hand washing frequently is another way to help us reduce the spread of COVID. We have installed sanitizing stations in all the hallways and in all of the classrooms. So sanitizing as you enter a hallway or as you enter and exit a classroom will also help. When we are outside at lunch, while it is okay to be unmasked while you are outside, to help us reduce the spread, we ask that you only unmask while you are eating, that you please try to remain socially distanced, no horseplay, try not to, be too close to each other with your masks off, so that will help reduce the spread. And if you could just please make sure that if you are ill at any time while you're here on campus, that you go immediately to our first aid office in the 200 hallway. If you feel ill at any time while you are at home, please stay home until your symptoms have subsided, or you call in and get advice from us. Thank you, Mr. Gimno. All right. Let's talk about another safety aspect, and that is student drop off and pick up. Since we started school, we've noticed a number of students who are not using the crosswalks that we're crossing in front of oncoming traffic. So we are asking all students to remain safe and use crosswalks. Please wait if there's somebody directing you across the crosswalk, that you wait until they tell you it is okay to go. Student drop-off will take place at the second crosswalk in the upper loop, so please make sure your parents pull forward all the way to the second crosswalk, which is located past the orange cones. The orange cones are for our buses, so we need to make sure we're not blocking them. We want to get them going. Once you arrive on campus, make sure that you are not leaving campus at all. Your parents need to call in and notify us that they are picking you up. We have a process for them to sign you out in the office, all right? So let's remain safe and follow those safety rules.
Thank you, Ms. Plumley. Next, we have the Parkway by our counselors.
Okay, so the Parkway, we're going to explain a little bit about what each letter means and what we expect from you guys. Can you go to the next slide? So the P in Parkway stands for positive. We want you to be positive here. Believe in your ability to achieve goals. Focus on things that you're grateful for rather than the negative things that come up. Learn from your mistakes and experiences to do better. Be a good role model. Choose good friends. Choose people who bring out the positive in you. And then positive attitude can also help improve your health. The A in Parkway, ambitious. We want you to do your homework, study, stay organized. It's really important to stay organized right now because you guys are going to be in multiple different classes. Set goals with a plan to execute. So set your goal, make sure you know how you're going to achieve that. Arrive on time with all the materials you need. Manage your time effectively. Prioritize things that need to be done first. Ask questions. The teachers love when you ask questions. They would rather you ask questions than not do your assignment because you didn't know what to do. And then practice until you master ambition.
All right, next we'll talk about being respectful. What does it mean to be respectful in the classroom? Use your electronic devices appropriately. So only use your cell phone during lunchtime. Use appropriate tone and language with others. Try not to use any cuss words. Speak in a polite voice. Treat others the way that you want to be treated. The golden rule. We have been taught this since we were little kids. Recognize the privacy of others. If anybody tells you something, keep it to yourself. Don't spread their business with anybody else. Acknowledge and follow directions from adults. If we ask you to slow down or not run in the hallway, please just pay attention to what we're asking you. We're trying to keep you guys safe. And celebrate diversity. Acknowledge that we're all different and that's okay. And it's okay to be different. Next would be kind. What does it mean to be kind? Smile and make kind remarks. Say nice things to others, compliment their outfit, make them feel good inside. Use manners and always be polite. Saying please and thank you definitely goes a long way. Be considerate, be helpful. If you see another student struggling, ask if they need help, and look for ways to promote peace. And with the Parkway, we like to reward our students who do practice the Parkway. So we do have a student store where you can come and exchange your Spartan bucks. So whenever you're in class and your teachers or hall monitors or anybody see you demonstrating the Parkway, you'll be rewarded with Spartan bucks. Then you bring those Spartan bucks to the student store. I have it open every other Friday in room 702, and you're able to purchase a bunch of really cool stuff. I only accept Spartan bucks. I will not take cash. So make sure that you are constantly demonstrating the Parkway so you can earn those bucks. And here is an example of it. It's super simple. All of your teachers have it. And here's some of the things that I have at the student store. And now Mr. Gymno will talk to you guys a little bit more.
One question, Miss Ayla, when does the student store open?
It will be open next Friday for the first time here in 702, and it will be open during all lunches.
Is that every Friday it's open?
It will be open every other Friday. So the first one will be September 3rd.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'm here to do the little portion on discipline. I'd like to first start off with every day you're going to have obstacles in your way. You're going to have things that come up that are things that you have to deal with. What I want to say is the key that I think we've worked on for a long time here at Park that I think is the most effective is anytime you're in a place where there's something going on that's not positive or you're at conflict with someone else or there's a decision that you have to make and it might be a decision that costs you a problem. The best advice I can give you is try to interject an action before your reaction to something, right? If someone comes up to you and they say something and you get really upset about it, try to take some space before you react. That's the biggest advice I can give to anybody is if you take some time before you react to things that happen to you, you have a better chance of making a decision that is well thought out, that has a positive outcome to that. Okay, so that's the best advice I've ever received in my life, and I want to encourage you to do the same thing. That's why we teach you mindfulness here at Park. That's why we have what Ms. Montgomery is going to talk about in regards to wellness rooms. We want you to really work on how you deal with your emotions to make sure you always have a way to deal with that to be successful. Sorry about that. First of all, I want to talk about attendance. Attendance is going to be the #1 indicator for most students being successful at school. They've done studies after studies about attendance. They demonstrate through attendance students that maybe have are higher risk of other things that happen later on in life. So attendance is a '1 indicator of most things that are successful, the start of success at school. It is crucial that you're here every day. School is such a fast-paced place that missing 1 or 2 days in a row could really put you behind. So do whatever you can to make sure you're at school. With that said, we understand right now this year's a little more complicated because we have COVID protocols. And by no means am I saying to come to school sick, okay? I'm saying that if you're feeling well, you come to school. Don't use days that you're not at school, that you're not feeling ill, to not be at school. That's really important right now because you may have to quarantine this year. A lot of us will have to at some point. So make sure all the other days you're here. Being on time is really important. Each teacher has about 50 minutes with you, and they need to take all the time they can get. So be to class on time. If there is issues with your attendance, you'll definitely be meeting with us and your parent, and we'll go over some of the laws and rules around attendance. But just the main thing is, if you're able to come to school, please be here and be here on time. It's really important. All right. Next, so let's talk about when all of a sudden something happens at school regarding discipline. You made a mistake. Okay. First of all, everyone makes a mistake. All right. Lord knows I made many mistakes in my life. The main thing I think is when you make mistakes, you learn from those things and you try to do better. I think that's the most important thing you can do, is knowing that you're going to make mistakes, no matter if it be something that causes you an infraction on your discipline record or a referral. You have to learn from those mistakes that you make, okay? So we have things called minor infractions and major infractions at a school. Minor infractions would be things that say you get a warning on, you get a referral on, you're running, you're yelling, you're doing something that's off task in class, you're disrupting others in class, you're outside, you're not listening to an adult, and you're not following directions. These may be minor in the word minor, but those things add up. Okay, so you need to make sure that if you ever get in trouble for one of those offenses, you work that out with the vice principal that deals with that with you. You take the consequences that are given to you, and you try to make better decisions next time. Okay. Usually with these things, warnings always come first. We don't just start, kids running in the hallway. We don't give them OCS or OCI right away. They don't get in trouble that much, but we try to warn them. Usually when these little things become bigger, you start getting more heavy consequences. So we believe in a thing called progressive discipline at school. That means you start with something small like a warning, but if the same behavior continues, it could lead into something a little more big, right? So an example could be if you send out a classroom for disruptive behavior, you might get a conference with the vice principal the first time, and they might tell you some alternate behaviors you should be doing in class. But if you get another referral from that same class for the same type of behavior, you may get assigned lunch attention for that class or lunch attention that day. And then if you have a third referral for the same behavior, you might be getting on-campus suspension for a day or two from that classroom. And with all those, your parent will be getting phone calls home too. So the key is learning from the first time you make those mistakes, so you don't have to keep going down the path of those consequences, okay? Because they always increase. All right. So these are all kinds of disruptive behaviors that are minor disruptions, but you're being warned on them and your behavior is continuing, and you need to really keep those in check. But then you also have your more serious infractions. This would be fighting, hitting someone, using profanity at an employee, using profanity at another student, harassing somebody. All the ones that you see here on the PowerPoint, they could be all those things. Those kind of have stiffer consequences sometimes. Those could be anywhere from, on-campus suspension or on-campus intervention to you can go to 3-day suspension on some of those offenses, right? So if you get into a fight, it could end up being suspendable if you do get into an infraction that's more serious, okay? So it's really important you know what you can and can't do at school. There's no fighting tolerated at school. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's not tolerated. We don't allow it to happen, okay? We try to work with students as best we can to repair relationships with them. We try to restore conflict that they have together, but you also have to have a consequence with that too, okay? That's why we have so many people here to help you, because we want you to work through your conflicts before it gets physical, right? If you have someone that says something to you negatively and your first instinct is to fight, you can do several things. You can get help from a counselor. You can go to see a vice principal. You could just take a moment to gather yourself and think about what consequence you might have if you engage in that act. Okay, so it's really important you understand what could happen if you do these things, and so you know how not to do, how to get yourself out of those things, because we always have an out. Sometimes we have to go take that, though. We have to go search for it. Okay, Ms. Montgomery's going to talk a little bit about that when she gets her presentation. But what I will say is this: there's a few things you can never do at school that turn out right. Okay, I'll give you an example. You can't think that at lunchtime, when there's 375 kids around, that it would be a good idea for you to go with 3 of your friends to go confront somebody you have a problem with in the middle of the lunch, in the lunch area. That can't be something that you're thinking this is going to be a good way to solve conflict, right? That's the exact opposite of how you solve conflict. Most times that turns into a negative outcome, right? A positive outcome for the same thing is understanding you have conflict with somebody and maybe going to see a counselor. So at lunchtime, the counselor and you and the person you're in conflict with could sit down and have a restorative conference. That might be a positive outcome. The same goal can be achieved. You can ask the same questions you wanted to ask in the first place, but you can have an adult monitoring that conversation so it turns out productive. Okay, that's a small example of what could become a fight, but is done in a positive way now with no consequence, but conflict still can be resolved. Okay, so and all these other things is usually when these things happen, we're not thinking past the act itself. You know, we see a cell phone laying on the floor and we think, oh, that's a new cell phone, and we grab it and we put it in our pocket. We don't think that if someone finds that on me, that could be theft and I could get suspended from school possibly. And you have to work that through your mind. You know, you have to understand if someone is saying something disrespectful to you and you come back with some vulgar statements, someone might hear you say that. You could get in trouble for that. Okay. All the things I'm talking about are offenses that could happen and consequences that could come from that. But you have every one of those, you have an out to think that through before you make an action. Okay. But all of those can be suspendable. That doesn't mean we always suspend for them. There's a lot of circumstances we look at when we do suspensions for students. It's the last thing we want to do is suspend a kid from school. We don't like to do that. We don't want you to miss school. But when you start getting suspended from school, we know there's a serious problem there because we want you to be in school and we know we need to fix that with you. Okay. And we have a ton of support here at Park to help you fix those things. And then you have expellable offenses. These are offenses that the state of California says if you do these acts, the school must suspend you or expel you for these acts. Okay, that would be if you have a knife and you brandish it and you pull it out and you hold it at someone. That's expellable. I can't save you from that. You'll probably be arrested right away, and you'll probably get kicked out of school right away. I can't change those. That's a state of California rule. If you sell any kind of controlled substance on campus, that's an expellable act. I couldn't even keep you if I wanted you to stay here. Okay, if you have an explosive, if you possess a firearm or sell a firearm on campus, a gun, that's expellable. Or if you commit or attempt any sexual assault or battery on anybody else, that would be expellable. Now, the good news is this. On all those things, that rarely happens at school at Park Middle School. I can't even look at one of those and think that one of them's happened in the last 5 years that I remember. That's how great our school is these things usually do not happen at our school. So I'm confident that you guys make wise decisions. We'll never have to go down this road, and that's my hope. I know you probably have a lot of questions regarding discipline, and I promise you is if you ask your teachers, I will answer every single one of your questions. I'm even trying to have a way I can come out to each classroom and talk more individually to your classes about some of these things, because these are very important things we want to talk about. Not just the discipline side, but how to be a positive member of Park Middle School, how to really understand what the Parkway represents, and how do you act within it is very important to how our school culture is created. You got to remember, I might be the principal of Park, and these might be our counselors and vice principals, but we're all a community here. I don't set up how our school is going to be. That's ours as a whole on how we want to work under the guidelines of our school together. Okay, and I promise you this, I will do everything I can to acknowledge when you have issues that you need help with, but I also need you to really acknowledge the work that has been put into this so you as a student can be part of a wonderful, wonderful school. And I know we're going to have a great year if we all could understand how we operate under these guidelines. Ms. Montgomery, I think you're next.
Okay, so you've heard a little bit about the wellness room. So our wellness room, you should have already gotten a tour of the wellness room by the counselors, Miss Ayala and Miss Leffler. So the purpose of our wellness room is really to provide a place, a quiet and safe place for you to be able to learn how to identify what your emotions are and how to work through them and process them in a way that's going to be beneficial to you. And sometimes that takes the learning, just like you learn how to read in English classes in elementary. You also have to learn sometimes explicitly how to process your feelings. And so it's a place for you to get assistance with that. It's room 902. There is a pass that you have, and we'll show you what that looks like. It gives you a 10 to 15-minute break. It's something that you can initiate yourself, or something that your teacher might say, hey, it looks like maybe you're not able to focus right now. I think you should go to the wellness room. Going to the wellness room is not in trouble at all. It is you taking it either upon yourself or with your teacher to find a good way to regroup, to be able to access what you have to do in your classes. So there are a couple different things that you can do while you're in the wellness room. There's the chill out area where you can just sit and have quiet time to yourself. There's always someone there that you can talk to. So it's talking to a counselor. It might be that maybe you arrange with the counselor to do a conflict mediation with another student while you're in the wellness room. There's also yoga mats and places for you to practice mindfulness. So similar to what we do after at the beginning of 7th period, but there's space to do that as well. We just ask that everybody who comes in comes with the pass, that you're respectful to one another, respect each other's privacy, and maintain a safe space while you're there. So this is an example of the wellness room pass. So this is something that you will bring every time that you go to the wellness room. Once you get there, you'll give that pass to the adult that's in the room, and then they will send you back with that pass when you leave to go back to your class. When you're there, you're going to also fill out a quick survey of how you're feeling, and then again, you'll fill out that survey when you leave to say how you're feeling at that point, and hopefully you have some relief for whatever you felt when you came in. So here are the list of adults, and there are plenty of adults here on campus to help, but here are a few of them. So you've seen a lot of them here on this video. So Mr. Jimno, our principal, myself and Ms. Plumley are your vice principals. We're all located in the office. You can stop by during lunch if you ever want to talk to us, and they will arrange in the office for you to either see us then or some other point. We are here if you ever need to fill out an incident statement. So if something happens on campus and you want to report it, or something's happened to you and you need to report it, then you would fill out an incident statement here in the office, and that's where we are. We have our two counselors, Miss Ayala and Miss Leffler, and they are also here to help you. They're available in room 702, and then also they will be in there and in the wellness room. They are available if you need to go to the wellness room, but also at lunchtimes if you need their assistance. So if they're not in the wellness room, they're probably in room 702. They're here to help with conflict mediations when you're feeling anxious or sad, or some other feeling that's really stopping you from being able to learn. We have Miss Wade. Miss Wade is here on campus. She and the Lincoln counselors will be able to help students as well. You might see them around campus. I think the best way to access them you'll probably go through the counselors here, Miss Leffler and Miss Ayala, or myself or Miss Plumley. We have our site safety staff. You'll see them with their radios. So you'll see them with these types of things right here, and they're always here to help too. So if you don't know where you're supposed to be going or how to get to where you're going, or if you're having a problem with someone else, they can help you. Of course, your teachers. So if that's the first line of, or your first step is that if you're having problems with someone else or you're having problems with anything, is to go to your teacher first, and see if they can help you. And they will direct you to any of the number of people who are here on campus to be able to assist you further. And any adult on campus as well, especially if there's an emergency situation, you find the nearest adult and you get help from them.
All right, I think that's our last slide. So I hope you guys enjoyed our presentation today. I know we may have just opened up a lot of questions you might have, but I promise you, once you see this in class, you will definitely have a platform to ask them those questions with the teachers you watch this with, and they will get those questions to us if they can't answer them, so we can get everything answered for you. You also have a lot more information coming your way about clubs, about sports, about intervention for help for some of your schoolwork. That's all going to be coming up very soon as we kind of dive back into school for the first time in a year and a half. I want to commend you all for how we've started off the school year. I think that for the most part, we've had a very positive attitude and a lot of excitement about being around school. I'm so excited to have you guys here. And as hard as it is with all the regulations we have, remember, we are a park family, and that's not just the adults, it's the students and adults together which create that family. So thank you again. We look forward to working with you all year, and have a wonderful day.